I've always struggled to enjoy racing games as board games because they pair a high-octane theme with a format that's often turn-based, ploddy, and slow. In 5 to 6 minutes, today's feature is REM Racers, which comes from the Metal Miniatures game in the Infinity universe. And by the end of this video, I'll also let you know if this is the one true racing game for me. This is Legendary Tactics. I respect your time, so we'll race through this. First, we'll look at the components and the artwork. Next, the mechanism and the rules. 3, we'll go after the theme. 4, other similar games, and 5, an upside-downside snapshot of the game. And thank you to Corvus Belli for providing a review copy of both REM Racers and Infinity Code 1 Operation Blackwind. Let's begin with the components and the artwork. So if we leap right into the aesthetics, I'm pleasantly impressed. The artwork is inspired by the Infinity universe, so it comes with a range of pre-established characters. The game feels like it's intended for families and kids with anime-style characters. And while my boys didn't find the rough and tumble looking characters that they wanted, the remotes, which are the cars in this game, more than made up for that. So this game comes from a miniatures publisher, so the cars will only look as good as you make them. These are the models. They're actually quite nice and quite detailed, and there's a bit of variability on them. So the game comes with a double-sided track board and lots of segments. So you'll get replay out of this simply by changing the track. And instead, you can also attach different hackers onto your board, which forces you to have different options for your characters. The remotes themselves also have variable stats, such as Cometa, with its 5 accuracy, 9 armor, and 7 biotechnological protection. It adds some variability to the game, with players playing as different characters. In terms of the mechanisms and the rules, what sets this game apart from other racing games is the movement. Players really get the feeling of controlling your car's positioning on the track because you're using these movement templates. And depending on your speed, you have access to different movement templates. This is the part of the game that demands your full strategic focus. If you speed up too much, you lose maneuverability and you'll likely hit a wall. And if you slow down, you'll be peppered with attacks from your opponents. Now, the real fun comes in this game from the equipment. And this is the stuff that you use to blow up your opponents and just really cause chaos. The rulebook is really fluid and accessible. There are a few issues I'll address in the upside downside in the chapter of this video, but each player's turn is simple. You move or you play an equipment card, and 2, you change your speed. And while you don't have a lot of health in the game, destroyed remotes actually respawn on the track, so everybody stays involved in the game. Let's take a look at the theme for a moment. As a person who's coming to this game without any relationship to the Infinity universe, I don't feel disoriented jumping straight into it. I love the sci-fi skin, which turns this from a straight-up racing game into a battling game. And my family especially loved the equipment cards that let you interact with your opponents by blasting and hacking and sabotaging them. And when I first assembled the remotes that track your car's damage and your speed, I really loved the theming. This really made it feel like a video game. You got a little remote control in your hand, and they added a little bit of randomness by including the collision templates. That's these guys here. So after a collision, you randomly end up going in a different direction. Number 4. Other similar games. So immediately, I have to compare this game to Thunder Alley from GMT, simply because it's a race game. One major difference is that REM Racers doesn't use chaining, drafting, or pushing, and it also does movement very differently. Thunder Alley uses cards, whereas this uses these movement templates. So also REM Racers is focused on a single car, Thunder Alley is multiple cars. Likewise, Heat Pedal to the Metal shares a few thematic similarities, but it actually remains quite distinct. It has its own player mat, heat cards that control your movement, and it's more space-by-space movement, whereas this is controlled in a more tactile way. And to be perfectly honest, the most similar game I can think of is actually Mario Kart, the video game. Really, you're just bashing your way around the board, bouncing off each other, and using movement templates like you would in, say, Star Wars Shatterpoint or other miniatures games where you're using your distance. Number 5, the upside downside. To offer a balanced review, we need to consider both the upside and the downside of the game. Now, rulebooks are often the most significant obstacle to learning a game. And for the most part, this rulebook is actually spaced out quite well. It's not too overwhelming, and it teaches the game logically. However, there's a few clarifications that it should make. The artwork looks as if there's a track within a track right here. And it's not up until page 10 that I see an example that shows you can legally move your car within this range of the border. Likewise, it never specifies which direction cars travel on the track. And to some this may be obvious, probably clockwise, but rules like this need to be explicitly stated. And while I love these collision templates that you're using, if you have multiple cars involved in a collision, there's a bit of a chain reaction that really slows the game down as you sort out all of the fiddly reaction points. So I think this game is quite easy for players to take advantage of the system too, whereby you're moving, just a little bit of an edge here, a little bit of a tip there, and if you accidentally nudge the board, it can completely change the outcome of the game. So I wouldn't recommend that you play this too competitively. So, is this the consummate racing game that I've been searching for? Well, it certainly offers a different approach to racing than the others I've played. I really like the game overall. My kids wanted to play this game immediately after we ended. So to me, that's a good sign. Thanks for joining us on Legendary Tactics.